Okay, so good morning, good evening, everybody. My name is Luis Bermudez. I head the GeoSolutions USA office, and today it's really my pleasure to to provide the introduction of what's going on with GeoNode, and in particular the new release that it's coming. Sorry, I'm flipping back and forth with this presentation, 3.2. And we have the core developers here today, so you can participate by at the end of the presentation to have a very good discussion with them. So this is a great opportunity to really, if you have any questions about configuration or what's new and what's new to come, I think it's really a great opportunity for you to interact with this community. I will provide a little bit of introduction about GeoSolutions for those of you that are not familiar with us. First, this is the agenda. So we're going to do 10 minutes of introduction, then 50 minutes of presentation, and then we're going to have 30 minutes discussion questions. So at any point, you can post questions using the Q&A, and we will answer them in the order that you have posted them. So please use that mechanism, not the comments, not the chat, just the Q&A to post the questions. Thank you. And we have the core developers of GeoNode. Alessio is going to do the main presentation, and it's going to be supported by other folks that are key contributors. So we have been doing these webinars for the last year because of COVID. And these are free webinars that we talk about the different tools that we support. We are one of the world's leaders supporting open source geospatial software because we strongly believe that if we develop this open source, a lot of folks, and if it is free and it has good license, a lot of folks around the world can use it without paying a lot of fees. We have about 30 staff, about more than 200 clients, and very important, we participate in OGC, just paving the path of new standards and making sure it works with our tools. So for example, in this test bed, we're going to have MapStore as one of the key clients testing the OGC APIs. We have these 200 clients around the world. Lately, more in the US, of course, because we opened the US office, but we have customers all around the world in different domains. And we can provide different levels of support. One of the things is, for example, oh, I have this data, it's a lot of data, how do I put it on the web, how do I optimize, etc. So geospatial challenges, we can help you doing the architecture and what tools to use. We can help configure and deploy cluster of GeoNodes in the cloud and provide deployments for different environments, provide performance monitoring to know what's going on and be able to do proactive analytics, develop custom applications, optimize ingesting and publishing geospatial data, and other technical support. And we have different ways that we can support you. One is provide enterprise support, where you purchase a number of hours, and then depending on the number of hours that you purchase, we support you with a level of agreement. And also provide subscription services. So if you have already an installation of GeoNode, for example, you can subscribe to a number of incidents per year that we can support you just to make sure that it works properly and that you are not going to have, and if you have problems, then we can fix it fast. And also, of course, training that we do around the world, now more virtual than before. So if you have any questions and about this, we'll be happy to support you. So there's the contacts page, and here is my information. Okay, so with that, Lesio, I think I'm going to give. I think you can present.
Okay. I guess you need to stop the screen sharing.
Very good.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. I hope everyone is safe in this bad period and strange period coming. So I am Alessio Fabiani. I am part of the GeoNode project steering committee, which is composed currently by 6 people, sorry, the one that you see here on this slide. And all those guys contributed a lot, not only with the development, but also following people with their problem, issues, questions, and also updating the documentation, testing. So those guys are really the heart of GeoNode, and I'm very thankful to them. So I'm going to give you a very quick overview of what GeoNode is and architecture, very quick, just for those that do not know already what GeoNode is and about their components, and then I will jump suddenly to the new features that are going to be shipped with the new upcoming release 3.2.0. Okay, so just let's start. I guess almost everyone already knows that GeoNode it's a web framework based on Django. Currently, for this release, we are using the Django version 2.2.16, but we are moving to Django 3 very soon. Django, it's, as I said, a web framework based on Python. And we rely on, by default, on PostgreSQL and PostGIS setup. But of course, by using Django RM, it could be potentially possible to connect other kind of databases. However, we are using, of course, and promoting all open source projects and possibly geospatial projects under the OSGeo hat. As a web spatial processing server, we are by default shipping a GeoServer along with the GeoWeb Cache extension, which is an integrated extension that allows basically to create a cache of the geospatial tiles in order to ship the data quickly. Also, as a default catalog service, we are using PyCSW. And as a default GIS mapping client for the front end, we are now adopted a map store as a default one. So basically, something that must to be clear is that GeoNode is a quite complex architecture under the hood. We have at least 3 main components that must be configured, and that must interact together. So we try to simplify as much as possible the deployment and setup problem workflow, sorry, through a Docker mechanism, a Docker file, which is of course a template, a Docker template, and should be improved and fixed and adapted accordingly to each one specific needs. Also in the documentation, we have a guide that more or less explains how to configure the single pieces separately, but it requires some skills, especially some knowledge on the DevOps side. And also it would be good to know a bit how those components work in order to avoid having a lot of issues with the installation and the deployment of those components. On our experience, anyway, we noticed that the Docker setup is typically robust and also quite easy with just few steps of the configuration. It's relatively easy to create a new instance and customize it. Anyway, of course, as a community of an open source software, we also ask for help, not only on testing the components, but also on improving and updating the documentation. So any help is very, very appreciated. So which are the very, very generic high-level capabilities of GeoNode? GeoNode basically it's a geospatial content management system which aims to simplify the publishing and the management of geospatial datasets to people that are not GIS experts. So the main scope, main goal of GeoNode would be to simplify the process of creating a portal with all the advantages of a web portal. So users, permissions, and so on, groups, and so on, with a specific scope, a specific functionality, which is to allow the members of this portal to share together and publish easily, as much as possible, geospatial datasets. Also, GeoNode uses all components that are compliant with the open standards. That means that everything you publish into GeoNode will be automatically accessible through an open standard interface that can communicate with external systems compliant and compatible with such interface. And in particular, I am referring to OGC protocols like WMS, WFS, WCS, and so on, CSW, that you might have heard already. Release history. This is an improving and growing page that we are updating every time we create this presentation. So the last official release was shipped on May 2020, and we will ship the GeoNode 3.2.0 one on April, so this month, and along with the last version of the 3.1 train, which is the 3.1.1 version. This version will contain just some bug fixes that have been backported from the 3.2.0 version and will not contain the new features that I'm going to present now. Okay, so yeah, this small schema explains the release process. So currently we are the stable version will be the new upcoming 3.2.0, and the 3.1.1 will be the last one for GeoNode 3.1, and then we will continue with the development on a 3.2.x branch, and we will need still to understand with the project steering committee if we would like to move to GeoNode version 4.0 because of the big changes that will be in the architecture or not. So the versioning number for the next releases is still a decision process that we are taking. So it's not yet clear which would be the next version. For sure, there will be more 3.2.x versions because as long as we implement some features that are compatible with the 3.2.x release, and bug fixes that must be backported to this release, that will be shipped with the new releases. Our goal would be to maybe release faster, release sooner, instead of waiting 1 year. But we will see. It really depends on how things going, especially on the bug fixes and the feature requests. In any case, this is a recommendation that we always do. If you are using an older version of GeoNode, try to upgrade it as soon as possible. This is because the newer version are always more backport compatible with the old one. But if you are really far away from the latest version, it might be very, very difficult for you to port all the data you have, all the users you have, all the permissions you have to the new versions. So we recommend to try to stay aligned as much as possible with the new versions in order to avoid problems in backporting the new data and users into the new portals. Moreover, the new versions contains a lot of security fixes because Django and GeoNode, of course, have a lot of dependencies. And along the year, we upgraded those dependencies in order to fix some leaks, some security issues, and some bugs on those new versions. And so for security reasons also, it's highly recommended to upgrade to the new version of both GeoNode and GeoServer as soon as possible. Okay, so let's start with the features. Okay, so let's see what are the new main features of the GeoNode version 3.2.0. First of all, we have an upgrade of GeoServer. So now GeoNode is compatible with GeoServer 2.18.2 officially, but it's compatible also with the newer version of GeoServer. And this is very good because GeoServer also is growing and improving and has a lot of security issues and performance also improvements. In this version, especially, we have a lot of improvements on GeoWeb cache scalability. And also the geofence component of GeoServer, which is the component basically that decides how to provide permissions to certain resources in a very, very granular way. We have also an upgrade of geofence. We have some fixes for geofence, especially with the geospatial limits that were no more compatible with the new topology suite of Java. So with this new version, there is a fix also for geofence. Okay, the Map Store client, the default one, the GIS client that we provide with GeoNode has been also updated. So, and also the component that links GeoNode to Map Store. And in particular, this is a list of the most important improvements that we have. So now all the preferences on the map can be saved into the configuration. On the older version of GeoNode, most of the options that you could set for the layers, like the caching, tile size, styling, and so on, were not stored into the backend. So basically, they were lost the next time you would load the map. So now the bridge component is able to store the full configuration of Map Store along with all the preferences. We have an integrated visual style editor, which is able also to create color ramps, both for vectorial layer and raster layer. And we have a brand new Map Store client configuration that hopefully should simplify a bit the possibility to add more plugins to the Map Store client. And it is also possible to save and create subgroups on the table of contents in order to organize better the layer on the map. Let's see a bit more the details on the next slides. So first of all, the advanced style editor. So it is possible to switch back and forth between the textual editor and the widget-based editor. And it supports both SLD 1.0 and 1.1 language for GeoServer, which is the OGC standard one, but also supports the CSS styling descriptor, which is instead specific to GeoServer. So the CSS language is not something standard, but we decided to support it because it's very, very powerful. With very few lines of code, you are able to create very beautiful and complex styles for your data. Moreover, as I said before, the new styler supports several types of data classificators, both for vector and raster layers. It is possible also to add the well-known markers to the style and the external links to external images, as long as some more advanced styling options like the scale denominators, halo, text options that allows you to create text markers over the geometries and so on. Okay, with the new version of the client, we introduced also this asynchronous exporter, which relies on GeoServer WPS download process. It is very powerful, actually. Basically, you can just highlight the layer, ask to the client to download. It will show you a small form where you can choose between a few output format. It is possible also to decide the spatial reference system of the output file, which could be the native one or the WGS84. You can decide if you want to crop the downloaded data on the current viewport or if you want to download the whole dataset. And eventually you can also add some filters in order to download a subset of the data. Once you have done, you can click on the export button and the process will be triggered asynchronously, so it won't lock the client. You can continue editing the map. And once finished, you will be notified with a small notification on the bottom, and you will be able to download locally the results of the export. So this is a first implementation of this mechanism. Not yet, not yet what we would like to achieve in but at least a first useful widget that you can benefit. Also, with the new client, we have these comparison tools that allows you to this slide or this lens that allows you basically to compare between the different layers loaded into the map. Finally, yeah, there is the possibility to create those groups into the table of contents and save them to the map. So you can organize the layer into different groups, rename the existing one. And also the save widget has been is also to correctly send the thumbnails also to the map if you want to change the default one, and to set the name and descriptions and present you errors in case it won't be possible to save the map for some reason. Okay, let's speak a bit of the breaking changes between the new version and the 3.1 version and the previous ones. Okay, the first one, the Docker file, this new version relies on the PostgreSQL 13 image. So this does not mean that you have to upgrade mandatory your current database. You can still use the old one image. So you can still use Postgres 11 or 10 if you have it. But pay attention, because if you want to switch to the new version, the new datadir won't be compatible anymore. So most probably you will need first to dump the database locally and restore it once you created the new instance of Postgres. So be very careful when you decide to upgrade your Docker instance or GeoNode instance. The new map store client 2.1.3 that I just described. There is a breaking change on the resource model. So before, on the older version, the bounding box of the resources was stored as a set, as an array of doubles. Now we changed it with the help of Catalyst, and now it is a GeoDjango geometry. And this allows us to create correct spatial filters against the resource base stored into GeoNode. But on the other side, this is a breaking change of the base model. In theory, the migration should fix automatically this. In any case, we improved the management command in order to allow you to fix automatically all the geometries. I will speak a bit about this later on. The asynchronous model also has been completely refactored and revised. So we have not only a new version of Celery, but we also introduced memcached in order to correctly manage the lockers, the lock mechanism between the different processors and workers. So this could be also a breaking change because if you have an old version of Rabbit, you might need to drop the existing queues and allow GeoNode to create the new ones automatically. Also, we are starting to do some cleanup of stuff that basically was not maintained by anyone because for some reason we lost the original developers, or the community did not manifest any interest or special interest. So we started removing the support for GeoNetwork as a catalog service, QJS server, and the SPC GeoNode Docker installation, which was very old and hard to maintain, and was causing a lot of issues to a lot of people. The cleanup is ongoing, so most probably in the next version we will remove more old stuff that it is not used anymore. So be careful. Okay, so this is what I was saying before, breaking change the B-box geometry. So now the resource model has a B-box polygon and lat-long B-box polygon as a geometry field. If you are upgrading from a GeoNode 3.1 by running the migration, in theory, the geometry should be set automatically. In case you have issues, you can run this command, management command, set all layers metadata with these options, -d, which will refresh the bounding boxes and will recreate them against the GeoServer layers. The asynchronous model, as I said before, in case you want to upgrade from an old Dockerized instance, you will need to drop the RabbitMQ image and allow GeoNode to recreate the queues and topics correctly automatically. Okay, so let's see the main features. We have this GNIP, which was provided by CSGs. That adds right-to-left support for named languages. So when you switch to a language that support this right-to-left behavior, the GeoNode interface will change accordingly. A get feature info templating for GeoNode. This was a feature which was present also in the old version 3.1. It has been improved a bit, and we fixed some issues with the video and audio MIME types. So now it's fully available, and you can basically edit the attributes of a layer in order to instruct GeoNode to render them as a media type, an image, an audio file, or an hyperlink, or whatever. And you can also switch to a completely custom interface where you can basically define your full HTML template and allow GeoNode to render the output of the feature info as you wish, as you prefer. For those who don't know what the feature info is, basically it's we get feature info. We intend the output that we have from the server when you click over a feature type, over a geometry, basically. So instead of the classical table of values, key value pair, you can have this nice view that renders some media types. Okay, so this is quite a big change. We introduced a generic application model that allows you to plug into GeoNode more resources dynamically without the needs of modifying the GeoNode resource model. So you will have this apps or GeoApps tab into the GeoNode interface that allows you to show everything which is not a document, a layer, or a map. And as an example, as a concrete example, we provided, along with the new MapStore client, an example of GeoApp, which is a GeoStory, which are the GeoStories, basically. The GeoStories are a MapStore plugin, so we encapsulated those GeoStories into a wrapper and an hook set that allows GeoNode to recognize them and configure them as a GeoApp. Basically, a GeoStory allows you to create a dynamic content. You can reuse all the resources that GeoNode already provides. So you can include into your GeoStories every media type that you uploaded as a document. You can reuse every existing map that you already created into GeoNode, or a layer that is already available on GeoNode. And other than this, you can add different widgets like rich text editors with static images. You can also import images from external sources if you want. You can add sliders, text, and other contents type that allows you to create a nice storytelling slider. Okay, so this is another big improvement which will be available with the new version, a brand new REST API, which lives along with the old Tastify one, but it's much more powerful and performant. So we started to expose all the resources of GeoNode through an open API compliant REST API. But moreover, by the introduction of this component, which is called dynamic REST, this REST API, it's quite powerful because it allows you to do filtering, to ordering, search, to ask for a subset of the fields available, and you can reuse, even if it's a bit limited, some of the filtering capabilities of Django RM in order to make complex queries against the REST API. So this is very powerful. And we started to include also some active endpoints that allows you to configure from an external client the GeoNode catalog as an instance. There are endpoints that allows you to set up to read and write the permissions of a specific resource. So you won't need to go through the user interface in order to set the permissions, but you can use a REST call in order to do that, if you have the permission to do that, of course. But there are also endpoints that allows you to instruct an upload of some datasets and follow the progress of the upload completely from the REST interface. And this is one of the biggest useful features of the new version of GeoNode. Of course, the REST API, it's not yet fully complete. It will need some more features and probably some fixes. We expect some bugs also on the current implementation. However, it's already usable, and we already did some experiment by creating some fancy single page application that relies completely on the new REST API. Okay, we have a lot of improvements for the Thesauri based keywords. With this GeoNode improvement proposal, not only we were able to fix the old Thesauri mechanism, which was old and not completely working, but also now we have the possibility of add more than one thesauri to the media editor. Also, you can decide from the admin user interface to show the thesauri on the list pages. So you can filter the resources by using the keywords coming from the thesauri. The thesauri also allows and manage correctly the internationalization, especially for the titles. So you can have the titles and keywords expressed in different languages. And there is also the possibility to manage and upload the source files, RDF, through the admin web interface. Okay, I see that there are some Q&A questions. I will try to respond at the end of the session. Okay, this improvement, resource base for metadata only resources. This is also very useful. Basically, in the previous versions, the catalog service of GeoNode was able only to present layers and maps. With this improvement, we enable the catalog to present all the resources of GeoNode, not only layers and maps, but also you are able to define some additional resources that that we call services as an instance, that are not real or concrete resources in GeoNode, but just describe a type of service. This is mandatory for the Inspire directive. So the catalog service should not only provide the list of the currently available resources, but should also provide the descriptors of the services that are provided by the server. So as an instance, just to do a quick example, you can describe through the catalog service the WMS service or the view service or a remote service or whatever, which is not really a layer, but it's something that simply describe a service at a higher level. Okay, there have been, thanks to the refactoring of the asynchronous model, we were able to refactor also the upload page. Now the upload page is stateful and not stateless as before. That means that you won't lose anymore your uploads. You can resume the uploads even on a later stage, and you can follow the ongoing uploads, and eventually you can cancel the ongoing uploads. In this implementation, the administrators will be able to see all the uploads from every users. The regular user will be able to see only their own uploads. Improvements to the legend. There have been a lot of fixes on the legends. In particular, we fixed a lot of issues with the naming of the styles. There were some discrepancies between the titles and the names of the titles in the legends. So now GeoNode is able to show you the correct titles of the style. And also it is possible on the map details page to see all the legends of the layer that have been configured into the map. By default, they are collapsed, but you can expand them and see the legend of the current style associated with the GeoNode map. Metadata parsing and storing. This is an improvement that aims to customize the metadata editors and metadata details. We introduced a lot of template mechanism of Django that allows you to override the different pieces of the metadata editor. So as an instance, if you need to specific constraints for the metadata editor, you are able to override some blocks of the template with your own logic in order to check that some mandatory constraints have been respected. And there is also time freedom of in order to customize the metadata editor, even if this is not yet fully customizable metadata editor, but at least this is a first step toward a customizable, a fully customizable one. Okay, there have been introduced a lot of security fixes, in particular for the privacy of the people. So now it won't be possible to see the public fields of a user which is registered into the portal, unless you are an administrator, of course. So those information like the email or telephone number or whatever fields which is not public or should not be public will be hidden by default both from the UI and from the APIs. Okay, so there have been a lot of other minor improvements introduced into the release, like the possibility to append data to an existing feature. So if you have a vectorial layer, you can now also append the data by uploading a new shapefile, which is compliant with the current one, of course. And add more features automatically. We introduced some rich text editors on the metadata wizards that allows you to edit some fields like the abstract as an instance as HTML fields. So there you will have the HTML rendered outcome on all the pages of GeoNode, the explore pages and details pages and metadata pages. The thumbnails generators have been improved a lot. So we do not rely anymore of a very old and resource-consuming plugin on GeoServer, which is called PrintNG. But instead we try to generate the thumbnail by using a plain and very light getMap request that allows us to not only consume less resources and not overload the GeoServer, but also the quality of the thumbnails will be much better than before. There have been improvements also into the backup and restore machinery. Now by default, you will have always an hard restore, but it's a real hard restore. That means that all the data will be removed. The old data will be removed and replaced with the new backup. Not only from the GeoNode catalog, but also from the GeoServer one, and also from the database. So also the tables will be removed and replaced completely. There is, of course, an option that allows you to do a soft restore, which won't remove completely the old data, but eventually will replace the conflicting one with the one provided through the backup. But by default, you will have another restore. There have been some improvements on the advanced upload workflow. This is not enabled by default, so you will need to enable it explicitly. So by default, the GeoNode will always publish resources publicly. If you want to enable this advanced upload workflow, basically you will have you will enable an approval workflow on GeoNode that allows you to pass and super user before publishing a new layer or a new map or a new document to the public. The resource must be approved first by a manager, and then it must be published explicitly from an administrator in order to be publicly available. This is as completely revised, especially the permission mechanism. When you upload a new resource, now the group manager will be automatically added as editors of the resource. So not only the owner, but also the group manager. And once the resource has been approved, the owner won't be able to modify the resource again. Only a group manager or an administrator will be able to modify the resource. Eventually, to allow the users to modify the resource again, you need to unapprove the resource back to the unapproved state. Or eventually the user can ask to make changes to the resource. A request will be sent to the administrators and group manager, and they can decide to move the resource back to the unapproved state. Okay, we have a new contrib application, which is not shipped by default with GeoNode, but it's a plugin that you can enable if you want, which is this extension that allows you to parse roles from Keycloak. There have been a lot of improvements on the translation subsystem, and also at least the main languages have been revised completely, regenerated and translated again. So at least for Italian, English, and German, we have, I would say, quite good translations. There are a lot of other minor improvements and fixes both on the security side and performance side. You will be able to see all those one listed on the changelog associated with the release. Okay, now I would like to allow Giovanni to speak about the last part of the presentation. So, Giovanni, are you available?
Yep, here I am. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Just a second. Okay. Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So what's cooking? A lot of things coming out from the next versions. We are already working on the 3.2.x branch, which actually will be in a few moments the 3.2 release. So it will be the stable but work, as already mentioned by Alessio, will continue on the 3.2.x branch with some fixes and some improvements, some just little improvements. We will see how these branches on the 3 series will be managed. It will depend on, as Alessio was saying, it depends on how far we will go. Of course, the major work is done on the master branch. So one thing to say before I start talking about this is that we are going to create another demo instance of GeoNode. The current master demo, which is the only one that you can reach from the demo geonode.org website, is the 3.2.x branch. So initially it was the master, but now that master.demo.geonode.org is showing the 3.2.x version. This was required because the master branch is undergoing a very big change. So it's going to become quite unstable now. So we decided to switch it. And in a few days, we will create the stable.demo.geosolver.org, which will track the 3.2 branch, and a real master demo, which will track the master branch, where the very new things will be available on, and sometimes it also might break. So this is what we are already planning to do on the 3.2 branch. An upgrade of GeoServer, because we had several fixes in the 2.18 snapshot version of GeoServer that is currently included in GeoNode, and so we want to fix the version of GeoServer that is shipped with GeoNode. So we are going already in the 2.2.1 version. We will probably stick to GeoServer 2.18.3, which has several improvements. We want to review and improve the Docker configuration, so also including probably the drop of the SPC Docker compose. I know this has been discussed in the mailing list, and for there, I mean, the SPC was a good setup, but it's not currently maintained, so we don't want to keep 2 versions of Docker deployments. One is the one that is maintained by ourselves and most of the other developers. SPC, I know someone uses it, but it's not maintained, so probably it will be dropped. If someone has something to say on these, well, there's a thread on the forum, on the mailing list, where this can be discussed. We want to improve the permission system. There are already some pending pull requests where we want to make it more granular, so go beyond the role-based approach that currently GeoNode has. Probably it will remain for something for the administrators, but we want more fine-grained control on the actual permissions, also depending on dynamic, managing them dynamically. For example, when the system is in read-only mode, during the backup and restore, we can activate the read-only mode configuration so that nobody should be able to write on the B. And in this case, the permissions system should disable any action that can change the DB. So this permission system is going. We have started with a pull request where we introduce the permission to create the resources, but it will be improved along the way. We also are considering to introduce the ability to run some management commands through a GUI. So some useful management commands like update layers or synchronization of metadata and attributes. These are common activities that are requested by customers. And so we are considering to make a small GUI to run these commands. It's mostly done, but we have it in a synchronous fashion. So we want to make it asynchronous, of course, because many of these commands are not meant to be run synchronously. Otherwise, it will block and timeout. So we're working on that. We want to review and refactor the monitoring service because this moment is not working. It's not as robust as we want, and it's quite heavy on the resources of the system because it continuously analyze polls the DB and analyze the GeoServer streams and so on. So it's causing some issues here and there. So we already did some fixes to the salary, so the mechanism that runs these tasks. So that will make it less impactful on the machine, but we want to review it. And then another addition that is more geared toward end users is the introduction of MapStore dashboards. We introduced the GeoStory recently, and now the next step is dashboards. Dashboards will be integrated like a Geo app, as we have done for GeoStories, and this is the reason of having a generic Geo app concept. So we are able to install additional applications on top of the existing resources. And dashboards is something that is available in MapStore since 2018. You can view some links at the bottom of this presentation where there are some introductions to the concept. But basically, it's a blank canvas where you can combine multiple widgets, all the widgets that you have inside maps, inside GeoStories. You can combine them, even multiple maps, multiple layers, and connect the widgets each other. So when you move on a map, you will see some widgets update, tables update, but you can have multiple of them. So you can have multiple combinations of widgets. And it's actually very, I mean, we are working also to improve it even more, but yeah, for the moment, this is what you will get. And so you can directly use maps and layers from GeoNode or documents from GeoNode inside the dashboards. And like in the GeoStory, you will have an integrated visual editor, so you can build them directly inside GeoNode. I don't know if probably it won't be in 3.2.1. It will be in the next, probably in 3.3, but we'll see. We still have to decide on this. The master branch, as I was saying, is where most of the development is happening. I mean, breaking changes and very new things like the new client. There's a deep refactoring of the UX and the UI mainly for the management, the view and the management of the catalog contents. So for the moment, it will be in a hybrid approach where some pages, back office pages, will still be appear and will be managed as they are now. So for example, management of groups, user profiles, and so on. We are not working on that for the moment. We are dedicating this effort to review and redesign completely the user experience when dealing with resources. So both navigating the resources, the catalog, and viewing the resources, previewing the resources, editing the resources. So this is the main, our goal. This is from the point of view of the front end, and also big work is under design for the backend. Alessio is one of the, of course, one of the developers that is working on the design of these three new services: the resource service, the storage service, and the harvester service. This wants to be, I mean, there will be very big improvements on top of what we already have. The upload, the synchronous upload, the import system, the remote services. But they are mixed concepts. In some places they are monolithic. In some places they are, I mean, no, they don't provide a clear interface or a clear separation of concerns. So what we are designing is separating, so compartmentalizing the services, build an API on top of these services. I mean, a program, not an REST API, an API, internal API, so that these components can be also plugged or changed without affecting each other too much. So the resource service is dedicated to manage the full life cycle of a resource, even from before it exists and after it exists. So it's like a lineage of the resource. The idea is that the storage service sits there waiting for files and data to be brought in GeoNode through an upload, through an harvesting, through an import, whatever. They reach the storage. We can put some controls also on the storage, for example, quota, rating, rate control, and so on. After that, the resource service come in play, and it will manage the status of this resource, even if it's not in the catalog yet, but it manage the status of the resource. So if it's been ingested, processed, what is the status of the resource? And finally, publish it in the catalog and make it available as a resource as we know them. The harvester services will replace, for the most part, the remote services. So it will behave like a scheduled service that can harvest from multiple sources with pluggable clients dedicated to different kind of APIs. We are starting from an harvester client for GeoNode, so we can harvest resources and data from another GeoNode. So GeoNode becomes a real GeoNode. I mean, not only for the resources, but can be a network of services that share both resources and data. And of course, the harvester will use the services provided by the storage and the resource service. The way we are designing it is to make, to give the opportunity to build even more advanced systems, like imports from external storage services, doing pre-processing that can be configured or customized in the specific instances. So doing pre-processing on the files before they are being ingested into the catalog, or managing interactive workflows. The only interactive workflow that we have now, I mean, the main one is when importing time series. So in case of time series, during the upload procedure, the import system recognizes on vector layers that there are some attributes that can be considered as dates. So it will ask the user, do you want to use it as a time series? In that case, a wizard starts where the user can choose which fields to use as a time series, which format to use, and so on. But we want to make this interaction, this kind of workflows, be available also for other kind of ingestions, and also to be customized depending on the ingestion. Okay. I'm not promising anything on this. I mean, this is the foundations that will let us or let everyone build more advanced things on top of these services. So this is happening in the master branch, and the first thing that you will see when we will open the master demo is a new homepage. You can see the background is a grid view of the layers, where we can have a quick preview live preview, you can see that in the top screenshots, you see a list, and the other, and the bottom is a grid. It can be switched. So the same view can be switched between grid and list. And when you click on a card, you will have a live preview without having to enter the detail page for the layer or the map and so on. So in one quick glance, you have everything. On the left sidebar, there's a filters, similar to what we have in the layer list on the search page and so on as we have now. So the faceted search and filter is still available, but in a bit redesigned. As you can see, what the idea here is to merge the homepage with the list of resources. And also for a user, this will become its own user workspace. Because from these pages, I cannot show them now, but if you are authenticated, depending on their authorization, you will have quick actions on the cards that will let you do quick actions on the resources like deleting, updating, editing, and so on. So we reduce a lot of steps and jumps and make a more intuitive user experience. And we are also reviewing completely the viewers and the editors so that we are removing the current detail page as we know it now, where you have the detail page and then you can click view map, view layer, view document, and then you go into the Map Store client to make edits and so on. We want to merge it. Also to avoid the duplication of actions that you have now between the client and the page of the resource. So everything will be together. You will have a viewer, and if you have the rights, you will have actions on the top bar to make edits or, well, whatever you can do now on a resource. And so the metadata and the main informations will be available in the panel on the right, where you can directly edit the title, the abstracts. If you want to edit the advanced metadata, you can do that by the advanced metadata page. But often what you need to do is just changing the title and the abstract. So it will be available in the same context. And the other important thing that we want to remove is the permissions as they are now, and moving to a sharing concept. So more similar to what you have in Google Drive or Dropbox, whatever. So you have the share options to share with specific users and groups, or make it available for the public, so share publicly, and have the link to share the resource directly. So in these steps, we are reducing, halving, probably more than halving, the steps and the duplication of actions that you have now. It will happen in the next months. I think this is all for the moment. Yeah, I want just to complete this. I said what we are going to do, and with the Alessio and the other from the PSC, from the steering committee, I think we can say that we are ready to release 3.2. We are ready. We are completing the final tests. Today we fix the final things, hopefully. There will always be things to fix, but the major things are fixed. So probably the 3.2 will be rolled out tomorrow. Alessio, what do you think?
Yep, tomorrow.
And so, of course, we will prepare the change. We have the change log ready, and we will prepare all the news that will be available in the mailing list and the website. I see a question.
So thank you, Alessio. Thank you, Giovanni. And I think most of the questions have been answered, and we have still time to answer some questions. As I see Gabriel just posted one, but while we do that, I'm going to put a poll because we want your feedback to see also we can improve and also to understand what's your current status of your new GeoNode installation. So please, take your time. There are only 4 questions. It will take like 30 seconds of your time to answer them. So please reply to the poll. I'm going to launch it right now, and please continue posting the questions so we can answer them. Thank you. So go ahead, Giovanni and Alessio, with the questions.
Yeah, I see only one question from Gabriel Lazato right now. Does support SparkQL queries? No, it doesn't. In this moment, it doesn't support this API. It doesn't implement any RDF concept now.
So the way people can access the taxonomy, is there like a link that you can download the RDF?
Yes.
That's the only way. Okay.
Alessio, can you confirm? Is there?
Yeah, I confirm. For the moment, we can only upload and you can download the RDF through the management command, as far as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
However, I mean, would probably not that hard to implement something like that, but
yeah, we don't have plans.
As usual, yeah. We need some resources or some interest from the community in order to implement a feature like that.
So I see people are responding to the poll. Very much appreciated. And yeah, we still have some minutes, so take this opportunity to ask any question. I think Alessio was very good answering all the questions in the written while Giovanni was doing the presentation.
Alessio, do you want to answer Alessio?
Yes. Well, basically, it will add new vectorial features to the existing ones, basically. So you have to match two constraints. The shapefile that you will upload must match the same name and schema. And the new features will be simply added to the existing ones. So be careful, because if the shapefile contains also clashing feature, also old features, you will have duplicates of the same features. Can I upload the data stored in different databases? So you can upload the data in different databases, but not from the user interface. Typically, in GeoNode, what you can do is to upload the data, create the datasets on your server directly, and then call a management command, which is update layers, in order to make the resources visible into GeoNode. So per se, GeoNode does not require the resources to be stored on the same database, but at this time you cannot choose on which database to upload the new resources from the user interface. So you need to do that manually, basically. for GeoServer to install on MacBook, need to refer to the GeoServer documentation. For sure, yes. But I don't know how. And yes, also it needs some documentation. Okay, thanks. Thanks for the compliments.
Okay, so I think we don't have any more questions. One more thing. Some people ask about the recording, and what we do always is to put the recording where we advertise the webinar. So I'm going to put the link here again. I put it in the chat. So when we have the recording and then when we have the presentation that the PowerPoint's ready, we will put them there. We will also send an email to all of you telling you when this is available. So thank you very much for everybody taking the time to be with us today, learning more about GeoNode. And let me see, there is one more question, but to know what is the Brazilian partnership GeoSolution working with. So we right now we don't have a, let's say, Brazilian partnership of GeoSolutions. The idea to open the office in the US was to support the Americas. So if you want to talk to me with Ricardo, we can talk about what are your needs and how we can support you. We have some, let's say, partners already in Colombia and one in Argentina, but we can support you directly from the US office. And I'll be happy also to speak with you in Portuguese if that's the need as well. So Ricardo, I will contact you. Great. Anything else from anybody? Okay. I hope you have a good rest of the day, and I hope to see you in the next GeoSolutions webinar. Thank you again, Alessio and Giovanni, for preparing these great presentations.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Luis.
Ciao,
Thank you,
ciao.
everyone. Ciao.
Hasta luego. Bye.